What is the story behind you killing the paedophile?
Well, Dolores Barone, who was Carlo Gambino's niece, was a candy striper when I got to the hospital. So he told her, take care of that kid from the neighborhood. So she used to bring me the extra Jello at night. And the most important thing, she gave me a hug at the end of the night, which I needed. I was isolated. I'm 6.5 years of age at the time. And I was lonely, obviously. So as I matured, I was a good looking kid as a kid. And she said, watch out for Harold Gardner. I said, who's Harold Gardner? He says he's a physical therapist and they may assign him to you, but watch him. See, and the only privacy we had in the hospital was the curtains drawn off from around the ceiling. I was in a 20-bed ward, isolation ward, quarantine, polio. And once you had some power, which I had because my right hand, my whole right side was good, they wouldn't give you a bedpan anymore. They encouraged you to get out of bed. You crawl out of the bed and then crawl to the side rails and go to the bathrooms. Well, as time went on, one night I'm going to the bathroom and there's like a porter's broom that they use in the theaters, or the little brooms. And for some reason, with my right arm, I put it under my left arm and just held it till I got to the stall because I couldn't stand at a urinal yet. And I broke the end of the broom off. And I wasn't in no rush to go back to my bed. I've been there 24 hours a day. So as I was sitting there, I used to say the rosary and pray a lot. And I filed the top of the broom in the grout of the floor tile to make a weapon out of it. Don't ask me why. It was about 3 feet long. And the radiator was hung on the wall. So I always went to stall 4, and I put the broom back there, and nobody ever found it. Every time I went to the bathroom, even if somebody was in stall 4, I'd lean against the sink and wait for them to go. This one night, she warned me about Harold coming. And I see white shoes below the curtain at the stall. And he's trying to open. I'm holding it with my right hand. I said, I'll be right out. If you need, I'll be right out. No, I want to see how you're doing. I said, I'm doing okay. And then and he jerks the curtain open, and he closes the curtain behind him. Now he's standing right in my face. And he unbuttons his fly, and he's trying to convince me, he was a black man, that his penis was a Tootsie Roll. And he didn't realize I had my broom on the floor at my right hand. So he's standing with me, and he's trying to force himself in me, in my mouth. And I pick up the stick, because he was, paying no attention to what I was doing. And my left arm, I used it just as a guide. And I laid the stick on it, and I drove it right under his rib cage. God must have aimed it right. It went right out his back, because my upper body for 4 years, that's all I've been doing is dragging around. Well, he was running around the bathroom, spraying the whole white tiles, which is such a dramatic scene. Next, Dolores comes running in, throws a blanket over me, and they take me up to the psych ward. So I went to the 7th floor for 72 hours, and they said, he can go. Because they didn't want nobody to know that was so under the curtain, how many people were being abused by this guy. They let me go. So they wanted to call for my mother and father or somebody to pick me up. I said, Dolores, I don't want nobody to come. I said, you just take me down and put me in a cab. And she did. I said, I'll get you the money back. And I went back to the neighborhood, which was 30 blocks down the street. And I went to my grandfather's friend, Magnati's Bakery, and I wound up staying there for 1.5 years. But I was making the bread, which was good for me, with the 50-pound bags of habas. It was like exercise and dynamic tension than kneading the dough. But what was more beneficial was the wood-burning ovens. There was no humidity. So even at my age, I have no arthritis, no rheumatism. My whole left side of my body. I mean, the last kid that I kept in touch with, he just passed. Most of them never got their mobility back. And I have to say one thing, Shaun. I have no physical problems. None.
Wow, that's fantastic.
No, it's amazing.
How old were you then when that situation happened?
12. I was 12 years old.
Did you have nightmares or anything about it?
I had nightmares about the hospital, not about that. I think Because I always was wondering why, when he went to these kids in my ward and they closed the drape, it was moaning and crying.
Mm.
I thought he was hurting them. He was, but not in therapy. So
Mm.
I always justify, even like Lorenzo Morales, this guy's selling drugs to kids. I have no remorse at all. I mean, to me, it's a. I said this to Pope John Paul when I got very close to him, and he said, "How do you rectify all the injustice you've done?" I said, "Papa, I did no injustices." He said, "How's that?" He said, "I'm a disciple of the Lord." He said, "You're a disciple of the Lord." I said, "I read the Bible like you do. It used to be an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I'm trying to avenge these pedophiles and people, drug dealers, and eliminate what they're doing, destroying people with a lesser mind than you and I have." And he gave me this piece in 1984. I don't know if you could see it on camera. And I embellished it, obviously. It was just too small for me. So I made,
Wow.
and then he became a saint. And my grandchildren say, "Papa, you're the only guy that knows a saint." He's Saint John Paul. It's amazing.
Yeah, so that guy definitely had a killing coming.